If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and male advantage ebook, all links are in the bio. And they're the caveats here. You cannot just think, you cannot sit there and just think, there's going to be you're going to be some 40-year-old guy who's going to be out of shape, who's going to be lazy, who's going to be, like I said, just some old guy just sat there with no ambition for life. If you're putting the work in now and you're in the gym and you're active and whatever, 40 isn't old, 50 isn't old. Like I've told you guys a million times before, my uncle is 54 and healthy, he's dating 25-year-old women. I mean, consistently, women in their 20s. He won't go higher than that because he has no need to. He says it's too easy. Hello guys and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to break down two concepts. I was going to make two separate videos, but I think it works better as kind of one video. And that is, young men don't attract high quality women. They just don't, and I'll break that down in a minute. I'll go through it in detail. The second concept is, you need to really change your perception, guys, of what a man in his 30s and a man in his 40s is. So from 30 to 50, you need to really change your concept of what that is. I've been looking a lot in the comments recently. I see pretty much every comment. It's getting ridiculous now. I can barely reply to them all, which is, I guess, is good, but at the same time, it's not as intimate. But I'm trying my hardest. But I'm seeing so many comments where guys are like, everything that this guy's saying is great, I love it and everything, but I just still don't believe that a guy who's 36 can attract a 21-year-old woman. And this is why I want to break down these two concepts, because people have got this weird perception about what like a 30, 40-year-old man is. And it comes from, I don't mean this as a bad thing, it comes from maybe living in one small town or just one single city for your whole life, or just living in your micro bubble with your friends and whatever, and your family's friends, your dad's mates and whatnot. You don't get out and you don't see the world. You don't see what's really out there and like the kind of level that certain men are on. And you haven't experienced enough of life yet to understand that. Now, I'm only 28. I've still got so much more to learn, but I've seen a lot of this shit. And I know as every year that I get older, I become more attractive to women. Okay, it's just a bonus of being a man. It's just the male advantage that I've explained before. But you've got to stop thinking that a 38-year-old man is some fat, old, bold, lazy, given up on life, normal 9-to-5 job guy. That's what everybody thinks. And you've got to stop thinking that a 45-year-old man is just some old, over-the-hill, grey, big belly guy watching the Super Bowl, just watching sports every fucking weekend. There's so many other guys out there. And as men, we fuck up. Generation after generation, we fuck up. Because our true advantage, I've told you guys before, is 30 to 50. And I can say it a million times, nobody believes me. And what's going to happen is guys are going to get to these ages and go, shit, I didn't put the work in. I didn't believe Chris. I didn't believe these other guys that are older in the comments going, hey, he's right. I'm 38, I'm 42, and I'm getting more women than ever. I'm dating hot 25-year-olds because I stayed in shape and worked on my business and invested my money. And they're the caveats here. You cannot just think. You cannot sit there and just think, there's going to be you're going to be some 40-year-old guy who's going to be out of shape, who's going to be lazy, who's going to be, like I said, just some old guy just sat there with no ambition for life. If you're putting the work in now and you're in the gym and you're active and whatever, 40 isn't old, 50 isn't old. Like I've told you guys a million times before, my uncle is 54 and healthy, he's dating 25-year-old women. I mean, consistently, women in their 20s. He won't go higher than that because he has no need to. He says it's too easy. And he's not even bridging out. He's just doing that in like a local town. Like if he went out into cities and stuff, I'm sure he'd get even more. He's not. I don't even really think he's even like trying hard, right? But he's in shape. He's maintained himself. Good-looking guy. Dresses well. Good assets. Whatever. Kept his testosterone extremely high. It's easy to blend it all together. But there's so many guys on here and like. I think the old school guys that have been on this channel from day one or in the early days that have watched all the videos periodically have really believed in this concept. But there's a lot of new people that have joined maybe in the last 6 months, which is fantastic. But they don't quite understand because they haven't watched all the videos how everything connects. You're not going to be You're not going to be, if you do everything that I promote with the gym and the high testosterone and the good lifestyle, and you invest well, and you maybe start a business or do well in your 9-to-5 job, and you get some decent assets, and you become a well-rounded Renaissance man, you're not going to be your average 35-year-old guy that your dad knows or your dad works with, or, you know, I guess, you know, your parents would be older at this point, or dad's friends would be older, but people that are older than you that have just, their lives are just falling apart. But you've got to understand their lifestyle. These people have maybe got 2 kids at an age where they couldn't afford the kids, okay? So they've had these 2 kids, they're looking tired, they're not sleeping well, they've got no spare money, which means they're not taking care of themselves. They're skipping the gym because they don't really have the time to do it, or, you know, so they say. And then they haven't really invested their money well. They're just spending on like holidays and cars and houses and stuff like that. You know, mortgage is what I mean, not like an investment portfolio. And their life doesn't really add up to like a top level man. It's probably a nice life. I'm sure they're happy. And if you want that life, go ahead. I promote it. You know, if that's success in your eyes, go for it. But these people aren't going to be like the epitome of life. That isn't going to be I think 42-year-old Idris Elba dating a 28, 29-year-old model. You're not going to get that scenario because you haven't risen up to that top level. And this is what people forget, is they just think they're going to be 40 years old, sat in a pub with a beer belly, you know, just out of shape, just negative, just depressed about life, with 2-3 kids going, Chris said I can attract 21-year-olds. That kid was full of shit. It's like, no, guys, there's a massive difference. There's a massive difference between somebody like a David Gandhi, who's been in the gym religiously, who's barely drank alcohol, who dresses well, who became a world-famous model. Even though he had some potential when he was young, he didn't look like he does now. You know, he's really worked on himself. He eats clean. You know, somebody like Jeff Logan, we've all seen his transformation. I brought him up on this channel multiple times. The way he lives his life, the way that he eats, like, he's vegan, he eats salads, the way that he removes like the puffiness out of his skin and his face, etc., with certain ingredients. Like he's gone down to that fine detail of like how to look good. You know, he's up at 4 or 5 in the morning, hustling in the gym, doing a photo shoot, pushing his brand forward, getting more money for the supplements. He is pushing on all fronts, and he's in a scenario where, I mean, I think the guy is now like 33 years old. He can probably get any woman he wants in the world, you know, within reason. Outside of like the real famous ones with 100 million followers, that sort of shit. But, you know, they probably still would be interested. He's in that scenario where he could pretty much get any woman he wants. He's got a woman, whatever. But when he gets to 40, I can't imagine in 7 years his body's going to go, you know, he's not going to look that terrible. He's probably going to look better because people grow with the times. You know, he's probably going to have more money and more assets. He's going to be a 40-year-old guy who 21-year-old women are like, damn, if I was with that guy, that would be a game changer. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be all 21-year-old women. It's not going to be, you know, they're not all going to sit there and say, I want an older guy. Like, some do want to date somebody who's 25, around their age, who's had, you know, an early level of success. Or maybe they just want a guy because he's got abs and a big dick. Like, you don't know. Everybody's different. It's not all women when I speak about that. And also, personally, when I'm like 37 and I'm a billionaire and I've got everything I've ever wanted and I've built my life the way I believe it's going to go, I probably won't want to date like a 21-year-old. I probably want to date like 25 to 29-year-old women who are a little bit more mature, a bit more established. The conversation is better. You know, it's not always the case, but it just seems like that's probably going to be, you know, more apparent, right? It just seems like a wiser strategy. They're more complete. They got everything, you know. I prefer thicker women as well, and I think at that age women do, you know, thicken up a little bit more, which is, you know, something that I prefer. But there's the other side of the coin where I said earlier at the start, young men don't attract high-quality women. Now, I know so many men out there that say, you know, maybe they're 21 years old and they're like, I could get any woman I want in the world. Buddy, you've got such a skewed view of the world. You have no idea what level of women are out there. Like, going to your local club on a Saturday night, you know, or what's a club that you go to regularly and you know everybody in there and you have that familiarity bias. And you've used the marathon mindset where you've planted seeds with all these girls for the last 6 months and now you're banging them. You know, you're sleeping with one every single weekend. And pretending that you're some like top level guy who, you know, you're just a big fish in a small pond. It's not hard to do. But, you know, that kind of wild lifestyle of, you know, you're getting drunk with these girls on a Saturday night and, you know, you take them back and you have sloppy sex and you're like, I'm the man, I'm getting what I want. That doesn't work on these top level women. You know, the average girl on the street is just, just a normal girl, does her job on the weekend, gets drunk, finds a boyfriend, gets married. Like, I'm talking about these girls that own their own businesses and stuff. Maybe they are on OnlyFans, maybe they do escorting, but they're making like 20 grand a month. They're beautiful, they've got everything they've ever needed, they've got assets, whatever, they're better conversation, they're just smarter. Maybe they're like an MD of a large firm. In order to get to those women, there's women that are cultured, they've got a great education behind them. In order to get to them, you're not going to be some 21-year-old. Like, you're not going to see Jake Paul or Lil Pump or someone like that. You're not going to see, although these guys are getting girls, right? Undoubtedly they're getting girls. They're getting some sloppy, trashy 21-year-old LA girls. They're not attracting a prime Monica Bellucci, I think her name is. Remember back in the day, Monica Bellucci? I think she was in The Matrix. Like, when she was in her prime, and that was a very sophisticated but beautiful woman, as well as being sexy all at once. Those sort of women that maybe, let's say she was like 27, 28 at the time, she was dating that like French guy, that like grey-haired French guy, who's now with like a mixed race younger model now. Like, the dynamic is different. When you want these high quality women, they're only going to go after these older men. If you're like some 21-year-old party boy with a six-pack and a great-looking face, yeah, you're going to get sex from college girls and whatever, but you're never going to attract top-level women, the high-class women, the ones that are dressing well, that walk down the street and you go, God damn, there's got to be some sort of model or something. Like, that's another level. That's not Mrs. Average. Like, she's making everybody else look like shit. They're not going to look at you, and like if she's 24 years old and she's doing that, they're not going to look at you unless you're like some 32-year-old millionaire guy, or at least some guy. You don't have to be a millionaire, but some guy who's got his shit sorted, who's got a fantastic life, who's got a few years on him. Like, I'll tell you how I know this from experience. I'm 28. When I was 18, 19, 20, I used to go out. I was a real good-looking guy. I had kind of like Justin Bieber-y type hair, abs and everything. I was just some skinny little guy. I could go out on a night out, and I'm not bragging here because I'm not proud of it. I used to get like multiple girls in one night, whatever, always take one or two back. But looking back, like, I look at these women now and I look back at like old photos and stuff as a test, and I'm like, no, I wouldn't touch that woman now. Like, I don't find her attractive. I cannot believe I slept with that girl. Whereas at the time, all my friends would be like, she's so hot. I look back and I'm like, no, she's not. She really isn't, because I've traveled the world. But I also remember scenarios where I did meet a high quality woman. I started talking to them. They might chuckle with you for a little bit, but then when you say go home, let's go home together, or you try and do the same moves that you did on these tacky women, it was always, no, maybe like 10 years time. They'd kind of mock you because you were. I remember there was one woman once, she said to me, I must have been like 18, and she was like, you're handsome, but where's your chest? I said, what do you mean? She was like, you have no chest. You must be like 16 years old. She was like, you're a good looking guy, but you're just too young. I need a real man. This is the difference, okay? Or you take a girl out for a date and you show up in some like boy racer car with like a big exhaust, and it's just making a ton of noise. An 18-year-old girl might be like, I like this guy, he's got a really nice car. A woman who's like 25, who has her shit together, who is like top level, maybe she models in New York or something, she's gonna be like, this guy is just immature, I can't go near him. Like, there's a massive power exchange. Women get this kind of power exchange when it's not always when they're young to when they grow up. Some of them mature quicker, but the real high quality women, the ones you actually want to be with, they're not looking at these little boys. They're not looking at who's the most drunk guy in the club, who's having the most fun, who's got the loudest car, who's wearing the t-shirt with the logo with Supreme on. Do you know what I mean? Oh, he must be rich. It's like, no, she's looking at more top level things. Like, she'll think, what's his investment portfolio? Like, it'll be on that nature. And I've realized that as I've got older. Like, I've lost my hair, okay? Back then I had a full head of hair, like I said, flicked hair, gelled. You had the pretty boy vibes, whatever. Now I've got bald heads and like 10 times more muscle than what I had back then. I've got a lot more assets. I built a business, whatever. The amount of women, I'm not saying this to brag, I say this as motivation because it's proof of what I'm teaching you guys, The amount of women I get now compared to back then is like 20x. And they're much higher quality. Much higher quality. Like, you find yourself talking to women that you thought, God, that was completely off reach for me before. The type of women that you came outside the club with and you're like, right, so should we go back to mine? And she'd be like, no. Like, stroke you on the head or something, or tap you on the back and be like, no, of course not. You were like, what? Why not? I'm good looking. Why would you not come? She was like, yeah, it's not that. And you don't figure it out when you're 18, but you get older and you go, oh, right, yeah, I was a little boy. I couldn't handle a woman like that. She needed a real man. She needed somebody that would provide, that had a proper life in place, that had his shit sorted out. Just I don't know, just a bigger guy. Do you know what I mean? Just somebody who just looks like a man. I remember my the friend that I went to Toronto with once. He said none of us look like men. He was like, we're not proper men. And I never figured out. My ego at I think it was 22, 23 when we were out there. My ego didn't really figure that out. And then as I got older, I was like, oh yeah, we didn't look like real men. Like we still had little boyish traits, like our body, our skinny legs, things like that. Or, your body just thickens up. Your jaw just, your bone structure in your face just gets stronger. You lose the puffy, post-bulk, whatever. If you're cutting, as you get older, your tissue gets thinner on your face as a man. And instead of having that puffy, kind of puppy fat little boy look, you've got more of a defined bone structure as a man. You maybe have stuff like a widow's peak, which people think, oh, that's terrible. Oh, my hair's receding. Women like this sort of stuff because, a couple of grey hairs, they say it's attractive. Like I've got a couple of grey hairs down here if you look close. When I was with my ex-girlfriend, I was like, oh shit, I got grey hair. She was like, no, I know, I love it. I was thinking that the other day. There's so many things with women where what we think is a negative, they think's great. Oh, I'm not as good looking as I used to be. Yeah, but you're in better shape and you're richer. Trust me, you're going to get 10 times more women. Your life is more sorted out. You're more mature. You've got more conversation. You're smarter. You're going to get more women. Your life is going to go better. So it's no different than going for a job interview and you go, I'm 21. I got a first at university. I've got, every qualification under the sun. And they'll be like, yeah, but you lack experience. You could have no experience for 9 years. Go to a job interview at 30 and say, yeah, I've been traveling the world. I've been part of a few startups or whatever. I've started my own companies. I tested the waters. They didn't really go anywhere. I failed. But, now I'm 30 years old. I got that life experience. I want to get into a role. They'll hire you because they'll be like, wow, he is 30. He looks more like a man now. There's just something in your brain which just says this person's more trustworthy as they get older. I personally don't think men get taken seriously until they're about 27, 28, and that's the first year. Once you hit 30 and above, you're considered part of adult society, in my opinion. Anything before that, whatever you say, people are like, yeah, well, you think that now, wait until you get older, and you think you got all the answers, and people who are 60 are like laughing at you. They're like, this guy, he's great. Live your dreams, but they're thinking at the back of their heads, like, this guy's probably going to fail, but I don't want to run him down. There's so many just wiser heads at the top, and I think until you get to those sort of ages, you're not taken seriously. And women have a really good sense of men who are older and have their shit together. They just have a sense of it. They just look and they just think that is a real man. Like they don't want little boys. Like we see that all the time. You get a high quality woman and she's like, I don't want a little boy. I want a real man to build something with. There's certain things that signify that, and it's not jumping around the club with spiky bleach blonde hair. With fucking board shorts on and, who's the quickest who can down their pint? Yeah. Oh, that's a real man right there. That might have worked in college. It doesn't work in adult life. And that's why you guys need to change that perception. It's not all of you, but you need to change that perception that what you believe a 30 to 50-year-old man is not some old, bald, fat, lazy guy who's sat there going, oh, I just want to watch sports, got 4 kids. These women ain't going to want me. There's a higher level, there's a higher plateau that you need to get to, okay? There's a higher level of women that you need to reach. You need to go around the world and see what's really going on. You need to see some of the money that some of these women have got now. You need to see the levels that they're hitting. They're in the gym at 5 a.m. trying to look better. They're looking for somebody who's also on their level. It's not these local girls down the club who can twerk and they're like, yeah, that guy's tall and he's got abs, I'll go with him. Like, it grows up. Things level up. Those same girls there, they will grow up too. They might just do it later. But those high quality women that you see in the magazines, that you see on TV, they don't want to be with Justin Bieber. That's their worst nightmare. They're like, oh no, some like skinny 16-year-old looking guy. I know he's older, but he looks like a kid, with some bum fluff across his lip. They're not interested in that. They're interested in a high testosterone man who has his shit sorted, who has, you don't have to be the biggest guy in the world, but has a frame that looks like a man's frame. You know, you're just a little bit bigger built. You've lifted some heavy weights. You've put some meat on your neck. You know, these small little things that people don't really think about when they're younger. It's tiny little things like that. Has some few grey hairs in their beards. Women go crazy for this sort of shit. You know, you wake up in the morning early and you're productive and you get shit done and you've got good habits and you're eating clean. You read a book at night. Honestly, reading a book at night can get you laid. It's as simple as that. You're sat there with some glasses on, a few grey hairs in your beard, reading a book. You know, and a woman walks past and she's like, God damn, like she'll be like, that's daddy. Like, it's weird. It's weird. I cannot explain it sometimes. That's the extent that women get to. Like, we can't really explain that sort of thing. We're just like, she's hot, she's not hot, she's hot. Like, but women see tiny little traits, like a guy working on his car, like he's underneath the car, like working on it, or he's like, baby, snowing, are you going to be okay? Let me put some snow tires on for you. I'll order them now. Like, just ordering them and coming up with that idea. She's like, I just want to jump on him right now. Like, it changes. The whole market changes. And you don't have that when you're in your 20s or your teens, whatever. You might be a good looking guy, but you lack everything else. And that's why you need to change your perception. It's about building a man. Okay? It's about building this great man and letting people come to you. That's what you are. You're just kind of like you're like a flare going up in the air. You're just signifying to people around you. I've got to a better level. And me doing this video will plant that seed for a lot of people, but it still won't click. You won't understand it until you start doing these things. Like I said, I'm 28 and a half. No, I'll be coming up 29 in like 6-7 months, whatever. And I can already feel it like around that age. I can just feel like the dynamic has changed completely. Like you've stepped into that alpha male spot. That's an easy way to explain it. Like you are now what women want to be with. You're the man that women want to be with. They see a future with you. They're like, okay, he's just reached that kind of first year of being a proper man. And other guys around you are like, oh God, that guy's a little bit big, or that guy's a little bit established. You know, I've got respect for this guy. This guy seems as though he's got some years on the clock. I trust him. Like that sort of thing starts happening. And it all comes together. But you won't understand until you get there. Like right now, it sounds like I'm bragging. But you won't know until you get there and you feel that power. It's just how you deal with it. You know, that's why I always say 27 is the most dangerous age for a man, because you finally get that power and it's how you react to it. Like I've chosen to stay in, work on my business, reinvest. And by the time I get to like early to mid 30s, I want to be in such a position where I'm like, I'm glad I took those extra years. Because right now I could go out every weekend and sleep with a different woman. I don't want to do that. I'd rather build something great and then meet a plethora of high quality women in the future and get to the end of my life and be like, I reached the top. You know, I experienced what it was like to date anybody I wanted. I just think it's nice. I just think it's nice to be like, well, I wonder what it's like to be in the best possible shape. I wonder what it's like to date a celebrity, a model, Victoria's Secret model. I wonder what it's like to date that Instagram girl with 1 million followers. I wonder what it's like to sleep with her and her and her. You know, will I enjoy it? I don't know, but let's go and see. I wonder what it's like to be a billionaire. I wonder how it feels to wake up and know that you never have to worry again. I like getting to the top and trying to be the perfect man and ticking all these boxes. It's kind of shit that will get you where you want to get in life. Just looking at somebody like a Jake Paul and being like, I want to be like him. He seems to get laid. It won't last. It's not the type of women you want. You know, they're kind of trashy. Like look at some of them. You know, you only have to look back. Like porn stars and stuff that they're all dating. You know, they're not top level men. They're not. You compare like a Jake Paul to like a David Gandy. It's not even close. Do you know what I mean, guys? That David Gandy, any woman he wants, top quality women. Jake Paul, for example, he'll hit a limit. Like pretty young girls from LA who are 21, and then it just cuts off. It won't be able to go any further than that. If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and male advantage ebook, all links are in the bio.